Hi guys, welcome to Bolt Action Maneuvres number 4 I think. This is what we're going to be working on today, the rest of the D-Day Firefight box set. Assembling the US Infantry, hopefully. Plus also we'll be carrying on with our rule set here. So, without further ado, let's see what we've got in the box. Now these are 2 sprues left over from the German side, so I won't need those, so I'll pop those to one side momentarily. Like that. Okay. We've also got our ruined farmhouse, but we'll come to that after. Right. Our single arm on its own. That happened to me last time, if I remember rightly. Okay. Back and that back. And that back. There we are. Actually, I'll need the box. Right, US Infantry. On the side it's got the weapons sprue contents. Body one on there. Right, well, to begin with we'll be concentrating on getting them assembled. So that's the weapons sprue. Pop that to one side. Another weapons sprue. Yep. Okay. Now I was given a great tip by one of my subscribers, basically saying to attach the heads last, that way it makes it easier to get to the weapons, so I'll be doing that. So first things first then, I'm going to be cutting out the bases that they go on. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. So 15, 20 men it looks like. So just cut these out and we can tidy them up. Maybe a bit closer, perhaps. Yeah, that's better, I think. Let's get these in. Now, we were in the rule book, we were at the terrain bit. I've got it marked out on the page there. So we'll be doing that as well. I quite like these flat bases, actually. Incidentally, I also like those wooden ones you can get. I think they're really neat. Okay. Just get these off. There. I think we'll do it like a sort of batch system. So, you know, we'll attach all the legs, all the bodies, all the weapons, all the heads, blah blah blah. Okay, this one's getting a bit easier. Incidentally, I bought some terrain for bolt action, some what looks like farmhouse walls, or not farmhouse, but farm walls, that kind of thing. And obviously I'll be getting more as time goes by. Let's see if we can get 20 guys assembled. That would be nice to be able to do. Tell you what, rather than wait around for me to do this bit, we'll come back to this. Right, back again. So all the bases have been cut out and filed off the rough edges. where they're attached. I think this is a good point to pick up where we left off the rules. We were at terrain. Okay, so here goes. At the beginning of the game, before choosing sides and deploying troops, it is necessary for the players to rate the various terrain features on the battlefield as described below. Okay, so obviously you'd have to look at the book for this. It is likely that most of the battlefield will be clear or open ground where troops and vehicles can move without impediment. Other parts of the battlefield, such as woods, ruins, waterways, and perhaps quarries, escarpments, sand dunes or marshes, can be hard to move over or through. Remember, it is up to the players to decide how to rate the various features used to create the battle scene. There is no need to be rigid or even consistent about such things. For example, a light scattering of woodland might be counted as either open ground or as rough ground. Both are perfectly plausible. So then we've got impassable, rough ground, obstacles, buildings and roads. So, starting with impassable. Some features on the battlefield can be rated as completely impassable. This means all units must go round these features and no units can move onto or through them. The most obvious examples would be a steep gorge, a soaring rocky crag, a large body of deep water, or a very high and substantial wall. Other things that might be considered impassable include wrecked vehicles, collapsed or burning buildings, dangerous marshes, quicksand, and fortifications that are intended to present impassable barriers to the enemy. Rough ground. We use the term rough ground to describe areas of terrain that are difficult to move through, and which will therefore slow down troops, and in some cases prevent them from moving altogether. Different kinds of troops are affected in different ways, as shown on a table overleaf. Infantry are only allowed to move through rough ground by means of an advance. For example, they cannot move through at a run. The sort of features that would typically be rated as rough ground include dense woodland or undergrowth, loose ground such as deep mud, sand or scree, and areas of ruinous buildings or rubble. We've got obstacles. By obstacles we mean things such as field hedges, dry stone walls, ditches and perhaps streams or other waterways that present a barrier to movement. Obstacles are useful to the opposing armies because they make troops difficult to see and often provide cover. Infantry are only allowed to cross an obstacle whilst advancing and not whilst running. Other kinds of units are affected differently, as noted on the table overleaf. We got buildings. We will consider buildings at greater length in their own rules section. Buildings can include domestic houses, industrial buildings and military installations such as bunkers or pillboxes. We normally allow infantry to enter and fight from within buildings, but some players are happy to treat buildings as impassable in order to simplify matters. This is up to the players to decide for themselves. Roads. If you are fighting over a village, in the outskirts of a town, or even around a farm or factory, it is likely there will be roads or lanes to facilitate transport within and through the area. Although these roads make no difference to infantry, they enable vehicles to move more quickly, as noted on the table overleaf. An overleaf is a terrain table. Then it's just got moving on or off the table. So moving on, in some situations models will begin the game off table, which means they are waiting behind the area designated as the battlefield, or perhaps they are executing a flanking manoeuvre off to one side. When these units move onto the battlefield, the player picks a point on the table edge and measures the units move from that point. Units that move onto the battlefield must be given an advance or run order to do so, but note that they are not allowed to make an assault upon enemy units in the same turn. We will explain how assaults work later, blah blah blah. And moving off. Units cannot voluntarily move off the area designated as the battlefield except in circumstances where the rules specifically indicate otherwise. Where a unit is allowed to move off table, it is removed in its entirety as soon as any of its models moves into contact with the table edge. Okay. So that's that. Right, on with this. Let's get some guys on. Right, so what have we got here? Yeah, so Again, it's only filming on low res because of the length of the video, but I don't know if you can kind of see any detail there at all or not on the sprue. But you can see basically the legs are kind of attached to the torso on some of them. So we'll be doing that. So we'll be cutting out these guys. So yeah, as I said, I picked up some terrain, and I actually got it in Antics the other day when I was doing the Where I Live video. That was kind of cool. Oh, I got a tree as well, because you know, you never have enough trees. And at the moment I can't seem to get around to making any, although I'm sure I will at some point. So like I say, I'm super excited about bolt action. I think it's just awesome. This guy here. I've got one guy crouched down by the looks of things. Oop. Excuse me. Because the camera's on a tripod and it's got quite a wide floor span. Ugh. Sip of coffee, I think. That won't be lasting too long. Okay. Right. So these guys are fairly straightforward. Let's look at this one first then. So I'll be needing glue. Yeah, I love these Ravel glues, by the way. I love the applicator, the little nozzles. No, Games Workshop do a similar one, but that Ravel one is particularly good. I do like that. Okay. To use the hobby knife because there's a couple of bits of detritus there to get rid of that. So once, yeah, my other guys, the Germans, I've started painting them. I got myself a German infantry paint set. I thought, you know, to heck with it. It looks kind of Germanish, so that's what I've been doing. And if it's not right, then it's not right. But should be. False advertising, yes. And I'll be checking out the oh yeah. I'll be checking out the airbrush paints for the vehicles at some point too. I mean, I've got some, but again, I want to get it as accurate as I can, you know. Okay, now going to be wanting to score the areas before gluing. So I think that's quite important. So just having a look, see here. I think it would go in like that. Yeah. Okay. Took me a little while to get my head around the fact that you don't need much glue when I first started this hobby. I should just slather it on again. I needs more else it won't stick properly. But once when it does dry, obviously it dries really well, this plastic glue. So yeah. Sometimes, like as may be the case here, it may need a bit of drying time first. Which is fine. Maybe we'll join the legs together first. How's that then? See how that works out. That might be better. So yeah, so it's my intention, as soon as I get this, I mean, I want to get into playing Bolt Action as soon as possible. So I mean, this looks like a really good game, and I so can't wait to start playing it and getting my head around these rules. The rules seem a lot simpler than Warhammer, and yeah, and like I said, I've said before and I'll say it again, I love the game mechanic of the random dice play. For the actions of the armies. I mean, obviously I would be getting I'll be getting some British troops at some point, and I'd like some Polish as well. And I'm going to really focus on getting a load of Germans to play the bad guys, and maybe some Russians too. They have some really good battles, and you know, wherever that ends up being, I don't know, but you know, where I'll be playing it is another matter. But let's just get this on here. You know, because I am looking at gaming from my home as well as at a club or wherever, you know. He's on there quite good. Okay, I'll have a look at these guys now whilst I'm waiting for that to dry. Yeah, I just want to start playing, basically. To be honest, I don't really mind what game I play. You know, obviously I want to get, you know, I want to get infantry and armies together for games I play, but you know, I don't mind playing anything. I'll play anything. I just love gaming, basically, period. Okay. So, once I've got these guys ready, painted, I'll be laughing. Then it'll be onto the tanks. Or I might do the farmhouse in the interlude. I'll show you the walls I've got in the next update. When I've got these guys assembled and perhaps some primed. So that would be good. And I think it'll be time. Oh, there's my phone. Yep, that's it. Okay, just a bit of advice there. Right, okay. Yes, that's one on. And this guy's done it. It'll be two on. You can go on that one. I think it's time for a bit more rules, don't you? So, we're looking at the terrain table here. You can see that. Alright, so you can pause that and look at that if you need to. So the terrain table indicates how different kinds of troops are affected by different terrain. So that's fairly obvious. I don't really need to go through that. It just runs through the table and what it is. Okay. Now it's telling us about the Vickers machine gun, which is this thing here, okay? That's my thing on a tripod. Actually, not unlike the one my camera's on, it's shorter. Right. The Vickers machine gun. The .303 caliber Vickers machine gun was the principal support machine gun used by British and Commonwealth machine gun battalions and MMG, that's medium machine gun, companies. The number of crews varied depending on the type of unit involved, but from 1942 onwards, this was usually 4. Between them, these men had to carry not only the gun and ammunition, but also the heavy brass tripod and a jerry can of water. The Vickers being a water-cooled machine gun. One of the crew would be the driver of the universal carrier that was typically used to transport the gun. In the early years of the war, the 15 CWT truck performed this role. The Vickers had a maximum range of 4,500 yards and could fire up to 600 rounds per minute. Because of its weight, the Vickers was at its best when firing upon fixed positions where it could deliver plunging fire on the target from long range. Unlike air-cooled machine guns such as the British Bren and German MG42, it was also capable of lengthy periods of sustained fire without overheating the gun's barrel. Tough and reliable, the Vickers .303 was a survivor of World War I and served the British Armed Forces throughout World War II. Wow. So that's a bit about the gun. Vickers machine gun. Nice. Just a couple of pictures on the models, which looks really great. And it talks about the best tank of the war. I will come back to that before we move on to shooting. So that's that. Actually, I'm going to set a bit of a timer here so I can see what I'm doing. Right. Okay. Let's get these guys on. I mean, it does take a long time to get all this together, doesn't it? But it's worth it once you've done it. You got some mould lines on these, but it's nothing crazy bad, you know. I've seen some models that I wouldn't even entertain because the mould lines are that bad. These are not one of them. It's pretty good. I mean, bound to get mould lines on them. It's part and parcel of it. Unusual looking stances on these. Yeah, we're going to try the old heads on last tip, see how that goes. And it just looks kind of cool when you got their heads on, I think. But it makes sense. You know, put the head on last to get access to the arms and guns. I'm all for learning new stuff, so that's cool as well. You know, with these videos, it's surprising how much time goes by and how long they end up being. You just don't realise at all. Okay. Another one. Nearly. Get this guy on a base, I think. Sometimes you miss the odd mould line, don't you, when you're doing it, and you think, oh, how did I miss that? But you just did. Right. Okay. One more. I'll give us our first five. Well, first five legs. Yeah, sun's coming out. This is a great place here for assembling. It's even easier to assemble here than it is upstairs. So I often assemble down here. Right. Incidentally, those World War II books I bought, I've finished the first book already, and I'm on to the second one now. Jam-packed with full of information, and I'm, you know, it's making me ashamed at how little I know about World War II, or history in general, actually. Mind you, I never did history at school, so kind of forgive myself for that a little. I'm not saying they should do history at school. I think you should. I think it's good to know history, but I'm ashamed to say I don't know much about it, but I will do. You mark my words. And it seems there's a whole wealth of information in those books to base campaigns on real life ones or make up your own. Just because it's a historical game, well, who says you can't make up your own campaigns? Why not? Okay, well, that's him done. Let's read another little bit, shall we? Let's read best. Well, I don't really need to read the best tank of the war. You can do that on your own. Let's go on to shooting now. That's the rules. Okay. Our troops command vast firepower in the form of squad-based automatic weapons, handheld anti-tank projectiles and long-ranged mortars and machine guns. Deploying and manoeuvring skillfully will enable your infantry to bring their weapons to bear most effectively against their enemy. So, who shoots? Units who have been given a fire or advance order can shoot, whilst units that have been given an ambush order can shoot when they spring their ambush, in which case their order is flipped to fire. Other units can sometimes shoot in special circumstances described throughout the rules. For example, reaction fire during an assault. So the shooting procedure. When one of your units shoots, follow the procedure below. Is 7 steps, and then we'll go through them. So 1. Declare target. 2. Target reacts. 3. Measure range and open fire. 4. Roll to hit. 5. Roll to damage. 6. Target takes casualties. 7. Target checks morale. Cool. So, declare target. Pick a target and declare you are opening fire. Except as noted below, a target is always one enemy unit. When a unit shoots, it fires all of its weapons at one target. For example, a tank, a squad of infantry, or anti-tank gun and its crew. When a unit opens fire, only those models that can draw a clear line of fire to their target actually shoot. Any models unable to shoot will not fire. For example, because they either can't see a target or because their weapons are out of range. Note that we do not make an exception for Panzer Forced Armoured Infantry. Sorry, scratch that last bit. Note that we do make an exception for Panzer Forced Armed Infantry who are allowed to select a different target to the rest of their unit. See Dividing Fire, and that's not on another page. Example, an infantry unit can see two enemy units, a machine gun team and an infantry squad further away. As the machine gun is already suppressed with two pin markers, the player decides to ignore it and declares that his unit is firing against the enemy infantry. Intervening friends. Infantry models are always allowed to see and shoot through other models in the same unit as if they were not there. This is because the unit is assumed to be in constant motion, troopers working as a team and not getting in each other's way. Makes sense. Sometimes you will find it convenient to momentarily lay down a model or place it aside whilst checking line of fire, and this is perfectly fine. So you've got line of sight through models in the same unit, firing past friends just there. Okay. Examples. Just do a little bit more of this. Right, so it looks like we've got another squad exactly the same as that one. The guy sort of crouched down, will be this one. Ooh. Yeah. And these guys. So I hope you're having fun building your bolt action squads. This is looking pretty cool, I have to say. Okay, let's clean up some of these mould lines. Hope I could see what I was doing, of course. That always helps. Right. So yeah, I mean I had to get the starter set to start me off really. D-Day firefight, yeah, I don't know. It was either that or I started on Normandy. I was in two minds, kind of what to do. I don't know, I just like the fact that you get the half track in this one and the ruined farmhouse and so on. It is a bit light on the ground on the German side, I think, even though you got the half track, but you haven't got many men, so you may need to bolster that out a bit. Get a bit more going. I don't know if there's a point system in this or whatever, but I just want to get going playing this game as soon as I can, really. You know, I really want to play this game. And also it'd be good to play against a sort of a veteran player as well to learn it easier. Because I've played games before where myself, not this game obviously, but I've played games where myself and my opponent are both beginners at it, and it's kind of just takes a long time to get to grips with it. Because you both new, whereas if at least one of you is more well versed and familiar with the rules, it makes for such an easier time. Then you can both, once once you've got your head around the rules, you can both start enjoying and having really good fun with it. And it's kind of what I'm hoping to do here. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any game stores around here that play bolt action, so I'll be limited to playing at a club or at my home, and that's fine. You know, I don't mind that. Don't care where I play, I just want to play. So, I never dreamed I'd be into games like this, but yeah, it's just brilliant. I really enjoy them. Right. Okay, right. Glued the legs together last time on this one, if I remember rightly. Just scoring the contact parts. Yeah, I wasn't that great when I woke up this morning. I was feeling a bit poorly, so I thought, oh no, this is going to affect my hobbying today. But thankfully, it doesn't seem to be. Let's let that one dry a bit. Let's have a look at the torso. That's not too bad. I mean, I love the scale of this as well. This is 28mm. I know it's probably the standard, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the smaller scale, I really do. But I have trouble with little bits in my hands. You know, it's bad enough with this scale. I can lose things at the drop of a hat. I'm sure there's techniques I'll be picking up to avoid all that, but in the interim, and okay, this is going to be great when there's I would say colour on the table, but I don't mean colour because they're not very colourful. World War II figures in general, they're quite dull, but you can definitely, it brings it to life. Nearly there with these guys. So if we can get shooting done today, I'll be happy. Rules wise, I mean. So you know, these Citadel mould line removers are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Can't rate them highly enough. I know there's like, everybody's like, oh yeah, just use the back of your knife and do it, but honestly, when you're a bit heavy-handed like me, this is easy because it doesn't damage the model like a knife does. But it does get rid of the mould line. It's awesome. Feels good too. Alright, so let's score his contact points. Get these guys on and read a little bit of the rules. Just gotta get Some of these bits we've got to be really careful with. Just a question that springs to mind. Can you kit bash with bolt action stuff? That'll be harder, but I wonder if you can do it. This should be possible, shouldn't it? You know, I love kit bashing. I'm not very good at it, but you know, I love trying. Right, another one here. Okay. There. Get this torso on here. Wrong way around would be. Right. Get him on the stand. Him on the stand. Oops, that's done it very well. You will stand up. Yeah, stand up, soldier. I'll try and give these more, I don't know, more of the same weapons. So the Germans are kind of mixed and matched a bit, probably too much. But that's okay. I'll get other infantry packs to make up for that. There. And that's 10 legs and torsos. Right. On with the rules. Okay. Firing past armoured friends. Another picture there. Yeah. Alright. Models are not allowed to shoot through other friendly units or draw a line of fire within 1 inch of a model from another friendly unit. Oh, I see. Even though a shooter may be able to see the target, the shot is not permitted if it would pass through or within 1 inch of a model from a different friendly unit. In such cases, the friends are too close to the line of fire. Well, that's fair enough. We make an exception to the rule that you can't draw a line of fire within 1 inch of your own side where shots cannot possibly score damage on the friendly unit. For example, infantry armed with small arms cannot possibly damage an armoured personnel carrier, so they are allowed to draw a line of fire within 1 inch of it. In such a case, shooters must still be able to see the target to shoot. They cannot see through the vehicle, but the closeness of the carrier does not block their fire. I see. The same exception also applies when shooting mortars and howitzers over the heads of friendly units, using indirect fire as explained later. These weapons fire with a high trajectory, lobbing shells high into the air so they will fall onto the enemy from above. When mortar and artillery crews shoot in direct fire, they can therefore shoot at any enemy they can see without intervening friends blocking their fire. Target reacts. That's the second one. If the nominated target has not yet taken an action that turn, the player can, if he wishes, immediately order it down. If he decides to do so, pick an ordered die out of the appropriate colour from the dice cup and place it next to the unit, showing it has gone down. This will make the unit more difficult to hit, reducing the consequences of being shot at, but on the other hand it means the target expends its action for the turn. Yeah, I get that. Measure the range and open fire. Every weapon in the game has a maximum range at which it can fire effectively. For example, a rifle, put my teeth back in, can hit targets up to 24 inches distance, whilst a medium machine gun can hit targets up to 36 inches away. Each weapon has a number of shots. This is the number of dice rolled on behalf of the model during firing the weapon. For example, a rifle has just one shot, whilst a medium machine gun has 4 shots, representing its rapid rate of fire. Every model that is within range and which can draw a line of fire to at least one enemy model in the target unit shoots at the nominated target. Note that players cannot hold back a unit's fire. When a unit fires, every model that can shoot must shoot. Check the range from each shooter to his target to make sure he is within range. If within range, roll a d6 for each shot that the weapon has, as shown on the weapons chart. If the target's out of range, if the target is out of range, then the shot automatically misses, and there is no need to roll. All these checking on the tables, you just have to look through the book and consult the appropriate table, basically. Example continued. The player measures the range to the target and finds that 3 of his riflemen and the sergeant's submachine gun are out of range, but the squad's light machine gun and 4 riflemen are in range. He can therefore fire 3 shots from the machine gun and 1 each from the 4 rifles, making a total of 7 shots. Okay. Just see that. We may not get through shooting in this video, but it's quite. There's indirect fire there as well. Indirect fire. A mortar can shoot at the German squad, as it can see, through the friendly unit in between. So basically, you know, you can fire over the top. That's what that means. Dividing fire. If a unit of infantry includes a proportion of men armed with one-shot anti-tank weapons, such as Panzerfaust, then any of these models are allowed to direct their fire against an enemy vehicle, even if the rest of their unit shoots against a different target. This enables a unit to split its fire between 2 different enemy units and is therefore an exception to the rule that normally prevents this. Roll to hit. Each d6 rolled has a chance of scoring a hit on the target. Successful hits represent accurate fire placed in the immediate vicinity of the target, with a good chance of killing or incapacitating an enemy. Each die roll of 1 or 2 misses and is ignored, whilst each die roll of 3, 4, 5 or 6 results in a hit. This is usually expressed as a roll of 3+, meaning a roll of 3 or greater on the die. However, there are a number of factors that affect this roll, making it easier or more difficult to hit, as explained below. And then it goes on to hit modifiers. So you roll your dice. The basic 3+ chance of hitting assumes that the firer is not distracted by battle raging around him, has time to aim his shots, and that the target lies in plain view without the benefit of cover of any kind. During a firefight, this will rarely be the case, and the target can be considerably more difficult to hit. As a result, this is represented by means of the following modifiers, and then it's basically got a table where you, like shooting at point blank range, for instance, gives you a +1 hit. So that's even easier. But if you've got like pin markers on you, for each pin marker that's a -1. Or it's long range, another -1. You're inexperienced, firing on the move, blah blah blah, and so on. So the roll is basically modified. Okay, let's have a look at these other 2 sprues here. Right, okay. So I'll do another sprue of these guys. All pretty much the same. So I'll keep one back in case you have to have specific arms or something daft like that. And I can just check them. So yeah, that's shooting. Looks quite straightforward. Though I know it sounds a bit blah when I'm explaining the rules, but if you think that's bad, get someone to read out the Warhammer rule book to you, and then come back. So, just trying to do it, you know, quickly. They're really nice models, these. I can't wait to play them, like I said. Right. Glass is back on, so I can see about these mold lines and so on. So, hopefully it won't be long. He says hopefully. Hopefully it won't be long. I'm going to have some bolt action videos up here. Bolt action in action. Or something like that I'll call it. So that's kind of cool. That's a good name for a bolt action battle report. Bolt action in action. Okay. That's one leg on the crouchy guy. So I'll get these guys done and then I'll be finishing up. Actually thinking about it, I probably won't go through any more of the rules here now. So I'm thinking maybe I should just end this one here. Then in the next bolt action maneuvers, my guys will be all assembled, hopefully. Alright, so actually, I'll just glue these legs together. Let me do it. Just hold this together. Let them dry. Glasses off. Camera up. Ugh. So, this tripod's on its last legs. Right. So yeah, so basically I want to get games of bolt action in as soon as I can, guys. So you know, hopefully I can get a game as soon as, and if it means having to assemble and paint these guys first and just getting someone in, so be it. I don't care. But you know, I've got so many things on the go at the moment, as you know. But get these bolt action guys done, and we can start playing it. Ta-da! So, until the next video, guys. See you on the next bolt action maneuvers. Until then, ta-ta!